Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Patty G Show. I am your host, Patrick Grimion. I have Taylor Jacobsen on the show of the Heart Trail, drone technology, and a whole lot of other stuff like we were talking before the break. So, Taylor, kind of give us a little bit of background and your initial story. Where are you from? What got you here? And then we'll go from there.
Cool. So a little bit about my background. My family's from Louisiana. I was actually born in New Orleans. A lot of people kind of don't know that, but as I was telling you earlier, I moved around so much. There's a lot of long story to it, but in short, graduated LSU with a bachelor degree back in 2014 with landscape architecture. Went to go work in Texas with some international design firms. Kind of broke away from that. About a year to work on a drone company for about 3 years. Fell in love with it, was able to kind of even get a little buyout and want to get back into the design world, so I took the opportunity. I'm back here now in Baton Rouge, get my master's in landscape architecture. So, and then I had the opportunity to then start a little design firm to kind of help pay the bills, and it's actually grown into something pretty interesting and some exciting projects that we're working on now. So, okay. That's the short version. There's more, but we'll keep it to the shorter version.
We're in a long-form podcast here, okay. So you ask anybody, my average show is like 40 minutes.
Okay, we got plenty of time.
We've got plenty of time.
I've got plenty of stories, yeah.
Let's start with the drone company. Why the drone company?
Okay, so just recently, before we started, we were talking about those man-made islands out in Dubai.
Right.
So part of what I was doing was working for a design firm, an urban planning, master planning design firm, where it's civil engineers, much like your wife, will design these spaces off the coast of Dubai or UAE, and then they had to be developed. You had to actually then program communities from scratch. So imagine like this LSU campus all of a sudden saying, here's a land, build us a campus, or here's downtown Baton Rouge, build us a city. We have skyscrapers, we need 50 of them, whatever it may be.
Right.
So we built resorts, skyscraper master planning, worked with mosque layouts, everything. And that was these huge projects that we were working on, and they were pumping them out so fast. And the only kind of information we had was on Google Earth. And in that part of the world, it wasn't even the best imagery. And at the time, I just got my hands on the drone technology. I knew its capabilities, and I'm sitting here just absolutely frustrated. I'm like, guys, we're working on a multi-billion-dollar, like 20-something billion-dollar project, and I can't get a site photo. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do here? So I absolutely saw this opportunity to say that I could take this $2,000 drone at the time and say I can fly a site and create a map that was almost 20 times better resolution than I was currently working on.
Oh, geez.
So, and when I say, we're talking about the idea of even measuring cracks in concrete compared to saying, what is this object on Google Earth that's over the size of a building? So the pixels are the size of this porch compared to the size of like a small square of information. So I was like, yeah, this is going to be something big. So broke off from there, spent the next 3 years trying to figure it out. Because like this was 2015.
So this is like the drones were just kind of getting into the business.
There was just like mass chaos of like people being fearful of what the drones would be doing. The FAA was still even trying to regulate it. People were still even trying to sell it and market it. So it was like the wild, wild west at the time. We were trying to figure out all of that, and I had a business partner at the time. We brought in a few of the people, so we were just young kids. It felt like just trying to go and find where this technology had the best opportunity. So we did construction monitoring, wetland coastal restoration monitoring, design firms for even projects, engineering situations. Search and rescue, real estate obviously was a kind of saturated market. That was a whole interesting. The search and rescue was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I want to go into the search and rescue. What was that like?
Well, the hard part about like any introduction to new technology is that you can't just walk up to someone and say, hey, this is going to fix your problem.
Right.
Because most of the time you don't know their problem.
Yeah.
And I was not someone that knew search and rescue, but I, again, as the COO, had to figure out where this technology was going to be our best fit, where we're going to maximize the best profit, if you will. So we went to Search One Rescue out of Dallas, Texas, which is the largest canine search and rescue team in the country. These guys are incredibly intimidating. Just old military, just like straight to the T. And the first thing they said was just like, we love this idea, but you have to go through training. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, look, you have to understand our operation, so that way when you get into the operation, you know where to go and you won't mess us up.
Right.
Because we're trying to save lives here, and if you get in the way of that, then you can affect someone's life. And I kind of sat back and I was like, man, you're absolutely right. Okay, well, what do I need to do? So we spent, my business partner was in Houston at the time. I was in Dallas. We're trying to split our markets and kind of dominate. So I was kind of going to a search and rescue training like every Sunday in the morning, giving up my weekends as a young kid, I felt like, and just being like, all right, I'm going to go and wake up. And I mean, watching this operation was just incredible. These guys were, these animals, I mean, we know dogs have keen smell, but I mean, they were finding like a tooth that they would drop in a 5-acre field with, you know, hay this tall, and they'd be able to find it.
Jesus.
I mean, it's just incredible. But they had limitations to, like, say, visual, and that's where we saw the opportunity saying, hey guys, this technology can be, we found your hole, this is where it's going to be, and to bridge that gap.
Right, because if they let the dogs go loose in the field or whatnot, they can't necessarily see the dog all the time.
Yeah.
But if they had an aerial view, then they could at least track the movement in the grass.
Absolutely.
And follow the dog.
It was a little bit of that. It was knowing obstacles in front of them. Is there a fence somewhere? Because I mean, most of the time, you're going to get places where Google Maps just doesn't have relevant information. Most of the times, though, you're out in the rural area, so therefore your data is weak or outdated. So we could fly, map out things. So essentially, instead of having someone grid walk an area, we can map out 50 acres in a couple, less than an hour, get a high resolution map, and have someone in their command center going through trying to find a shoe on the ground or a person or even tracks, even some clue that they cannot see, just because that's just so much ground for man to cover. So they had their systems. We try to offer ours in different ways. It was really interesting. Unfortunately, the problem was it's hard to monetize at the time. Yeah. They had liked anything. They were working off grants and funding and from the city. Like, they didn't have the capability to hire a company like ours to say this is full time. So we helped them anytime we could. We offered some times where we came out and flew for them to give them advice. They crushed it every time without us. They're amazing at what they do, and they were able to find things that our sight, our vision just couldn't do, or the thermal technology wasn't there at the time. I mean, thermal cameras were costing $20K just to put underneath the $20K aircraft, a little drone, if you will. So it's like, man, we don't have $50K just to throw out for you guys.
Yeah.
So we had to kind of back off from there and then go into all these different fields. I mean, we must have flown, all the way to places in Phoenix, Atlanta, Texas, Louisiana, North, Washington, D.C., you name it. If there was a job site and the client wanted us, we're there. We'll figure it out. We'll get it done for you. So when we were developing and learning about what really made this industry something unique, and the hardest part is that a lot of times it was so much data that these clients just didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about an example, a site surveyor, and we had to be careful of surveying, stamping things. That's what we weren't doing, but we could still collect very near truthful data. So we could build models, terrain models of the ground from photogrammic software. And we could collect something like, let's say, a golf course we did over in City Park in New Orleans. A surveyor on the ground, with boots to the ground, could probably hit maybe 10,000. I mean, with the right equipment in a day, we collected something like 200 million ground points, all within 1% accuracy of those ground points that they collected.
Jesus.
So we're talking about you're going from Morse code.
Yeah.
To 5G, Google Fiber kind of information. It's so overwhelming, you almost don't know what to do with it. And we knew how to use the softwares and understand the data. But our clients, a lot of times, we're working with golf course, GMs and groundskeepers. They are like, I don't even know how to use Google Earth. So so we had to walk them. We understood that the data collection was a process, but the management of that data was also the process. So that's what we saw: data collection and management of spatial information. So that's kind of what I always say: art is beautiful, but data is king.
That's a fact. Well, I mean, it's all about knowing how to use the data. I mean, I know in my field for accounting, you can bring all your stuff that you've got, all the data from the year, but if you don't know where it goes and how to interpret it, then it's pointless data.
Absolutely.
And so for you, I guess that was that value add was, okay, here's all the data, and here's how we think it can work best in your favor. Was that kind of y'all's path that y'all went?
Yeah, absolutely. And every client was different. There wasn't one client that was just like a stamp and we had a process, we could just go. There was one, but it was construction, and unfortunately that was probably the biggest field that could have benefited from this kind of information, but they were the one client or two clients we have are a little bit on the old school side, we'll call it. They're like, look, we just need these aerial images for these monthly reports. We're not using them for inspection. We're not using them for project tracking. So I'm sitting over here like, man, I can get you such beautiful information that would make and save you money, and let me just show you how. And they're like, no, we're good. So that there was, and now, but fast forward 2020, I mean, I could show you case study after case study, company after company that's just absolutely using this technology, and they're like, yeah, we're saving millions. It's like,
right.
So it's like, I saw that back in 2014. I was like, this is going to be a disruptor of information, and not to mention like just of how things are getting done. So I was just like, when I saw this, and that's what I love about just sometimes having this wide-eyed vision of, optimism, is just that this could be something that absolutely changes the game.
Right.
And then, so I don't know what that game is yet, but I know this technology is so powerful that I can't just sit here and just not be a part of it, and in its expansion into certain fields. So I've just recently helped out LSU. They have an incredible program over there in our landscape and architecture program, but also the College of Art and Design. They are going to we are now training students how to fly and collect data and then manage that data. So we've got some new professors that come in that really work with a lot of geospatial information, but collecting it is a whole nother thing. We have GIS. Some people may know what that is.
My wife does. I believe.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, she has to. GIS is a Geographical Information System, so it's just layering of information over spatial areas, and so that has been kind of around since the 90s, maybe even earlier, but collecting it has always been satellite-based and plane-based, right? So so Google Earth is by plane. So it's a nice big contract. Someone goes up there and gets a beautiful camera, click, 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 and then puts it together. We're doing the same thing with drones, but just on a much lower level and more detailed level. Also on a more micro level, meaning that we're only scanning, a couple acres or 100 acres or a golf course, while some people are doing the whole city with the satellites. So and it's affordable. I mean,
if I need my house imaged, I'm not going to call a plane and say, hey, can you fly over my house?
Right. Yeah.
Say, hey, my buddy's got a drone.
Yeah, and so and you can also just, like I said about the golf course. I mean, you can fly within the same day, same amount of time almost, and still get like an entire survey almost of the entire land. I can understand where water is, tree heights, tree space. I mean, I can have a whole analysis of the site. Like, I mean, in terms of like a designer or even engineer mind, you're like, that's so much information. I need a design. Like, I need to figure this out. Like, I only need this piece, but it's incredible to offer every piece, because you don't know what that one piece will be, which defines or even changes the landscape or the design of that thing for the client. So it's important. So I'm now training and building a LSU drone training program. So we'll have that for them, which is very exciting. And then we will also be kind of continuous that throughout the year. So now they'll be able to rent drones, actually be able to go out and survey themselves and collect data, and then offer this later on into the profession. So it's really interesting, because kind of what you were talking a little bit about prior to starting is that design firms are now actually hiring people to bring in this kind of technology in-house. So it's no longer like, are they saying, we're going to pay this company to go get the data? It's like, we want that technology every day. We want it for us internally, and this director of digital innovation is going to be doing that.
Well, because it's so price friendly now. It's so price friendly for somebody to go, like you said, a $2,000 drone for a design firm or something's nothing. For them to say, oh, I'm gonna buy a $2,000 drone or a $5,000 drone and have the same amount of data I can have with a $15,000 report.
Right.
And that's just one report. If I do this on 10, 20 projects a year, the savings, even if you pay your drone flyer really well, you still come out ahead. You still come out ahead,
and that's kind of what I even have some. I'm very lucky to be well networked in our program. They've done a great job of always continues that. LinkedIn, Facebook.
Oh, LinkedIn's huge.
If you guys aren't on social media and you're in any kind of business, get on it right now. It's free. It's amazing. I mean, you understand how to use it. This is my first Facebook Live, but I've done YouTube. I've done everything else, but this is a great example of that. Now, I've been, over the 3 years of that company, we were always marketing ourselves for the drones because it was a new technology. It was so hot. I mean, it was absolutely free. I didn't have to pay for a single thing to get. I mean, we must have had some 200,000 impressions over LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, within 1 year. I mean, not to mention I got asked to go to conferences, blah, 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 to speak because of it. So it's just absolutely insane. So through all that, I'm even now getting some design firm principals or owners saying, hey, could you help us maybe figure this new technology out, or would you want to come
on board? We'll hire you. We'll pay you.
Yeah, we'll pay you. I'm like, well, I like what I do, so it's gonna have to be something good to take me away from my freedom as a business owner. So but it's so exciting in 2020 to see you know, what chance I took at leaving what was my dream job. You know, 'cause I was doing some, I had so much fun at that design firm, just building things and designing things. So it was hard for me to leave that, but I knew, you know, when you see that technology, we're just obsessed with it, and you're like, this is gonna be something big. And now that it's 2020, and everybody's saying, hey, we want this like in our daily operations, I'm like, this is so exciting. This landscape architects should not be the ones that are like experts in drones, but that's how our field works. We do so many different things.
Yeah, I mean, you cover such an array. I mean, you were talking golf courses, construction, even whole cities like Dubai. I mean, that's crazy that your field can fall under all of that stuff.
It does.
The spectrum is so wide
Right.
that you can cover almost anything. And with drones, I mean, now you've got commercial real estate. I know is huge.
Yep.
For them to be able to give that aerial viewpoint
Oh,
of
yeah.
everything. I know, like Matthew Laborde with
love it.
Elephant Realty.
They're crushing it with that.
Oh yeah, and
I mean, it's a perspective thing.
right.
Too.
It's a perspective thing. When he was on the show, we were talking about what he does and how they do it differently, and it's so fascinating that 5 years ago this was unheard of because everything had to be done by like helicopter.
Dangerous,
and, like,
expensive.
It's
all
expensive. It's dangerous, and now you've got even film crews are now using drones to capture the same footage, if not better,
Oh yeah.
than they would with a helicopter because it makes sound a whole lot easier.
Yep.
When I go on the back end of that, I know from having to deal with podcasts, sound is not fun.
It's another.
Let alone video is a whole different ballgame,
Right.
combining those two. And so for them now to have the drone technology is so fascinating that it's almost like, why did we wait so long to have
Yes.
this?
I mean, you're absolutely right. It's also the evolution of the technology itself. I mean, the first drone I had in my hands, I wouldn't fly that today commercially. No way.
Really?
It's just, oh man, it was so dangerous. Like, and that was like the version 2 of it. You know, like before that, it was even worse. I mean, anybody that's been in RC, you know, kind of life, understands the difficulties of flying, controlling flight. I mean, I'm obsessed with aviation. You know, it's been 107 years since we've really had first power-controlled manned flight. And now we have it in a way that's just like the ultimate control. I mean, I can literally take, I could have a drone right now with my knowledge, take anything you want the size, like, you know, small orange of weight, and put it anywhere in the city and drop it off of someone's doorstep and then send it back to me.
Wow.
Without
so
moving.
Well, like programmed, or you flying it yourself?
Both. I mean, I can honestly do a pre-programmed flight, which is then a drone, which is a fully autonomous flight, or I can fly the UAV or UAS by hand. It's illegal, which I couldn't do because you have to.
So he doesn't do it.
I don't do it. I can. But the FAA will be. They are and have been working on a lot of things to get us to the point which that will become legal. Beyond visual line of sight is something that they really have been working on because it's something that's been hindering our industry.
Right.
If I can't have something go past 2,000 feet, well then that kind of limits me on how, because now it's almost like fishing, right?
Right.
I have a line, I can only go so far to put that bait. So if we have an endless thing where you can send it, then I can collect data on railroads, pipelines, I can monitor wildlife. There's just, and, you know, fences, there's a whole nother thing. So power lines. So there's just, they're getting to that. Eventually we will have that. I really am curious to see if we ever get that Amazon deal, the headquarters here, if they will then send out and push drones across the Baton Rouge landscape, because we really don't have a very busy airspace.
Yeah, we don't have a whole lot.
We don't, and
even with the expansion of the Baton Rouge airport, we still don't have that much.
Well, I mean, it's good, but the placement of it's too. So a lot of people understand it's like you don't want to fly within 5 miles radius of an airport, and we hit that 5 mile radius like right after the state capitol, like almost like.
So like downtown mid city,
like
we're all well out of
right of Main Street. I mean, Main Street and the Capitol, like it's like that's like the 5 mile radius. Like I know by heart, so I don't want to get my drone near there, and I'm always looking at elephant stuff. I'm like, maybe a little close. No, but they've been doing very well. I've been kind of like always thinking about it, but they so like anywhere around here. I mean, especially if they're going to hit their headquarters. Was it on Florida or?
Oh, Elephant Realty?
No, the Amazon. There's talks about it.
There's talks about them being everywhere. I mean, talks about like Cortana Mall or wherever they're going to go. So they're not.
They're not definitive. Yeah,
they don't.
But if they ever put that over there, they would have plenty of space to do that kind of stuff, which is great because that's that offers eventually the technology to do that. When we talk about congestion, let's get some big trucks off the road, and that's gonna stop driving things around. Let's fly them.
Well, but the problem is you got 10 that cut straight through Baton Rouge. So,
yeah.
But at the same time, it'll get us off. They'll get them off of the main roads in Baton Rouge.
That's what I'm saying. Any car not on the road is going to help out. I'm a big believer in biking and walking. I love my walking cities. So therefore, I'm always trying to like be off the road in my own way. I take the bus when I can, I bike or walk when I can, or I fly my equipment when I can. So.
I don't think you can fly yourself just
No,
yet.
not yet. No, if you go to Dallas, they'll have that by end of this year.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen some prototypes of them happening, like flying across rivers and such to test it.
Oh yeah.
So it's that soon?
Oh, Uber will have it very soon. Uber's been working with FAA for the last 2 years on this. I think it's gonna be 2021. Whatever. We're talking about like Jetsons are like a reality now. And it's going to be in Dallas. Like you can fly between two cities for like 10 minutes with like for $30. I don't trust it yet, but
I don't know.
I'm a 10-year kind of thing. Like self-driving cars, I'll wait 10.
Yeah.
Like I'll do my best and just kind of patiently be diligent at the wheel and then wait my turn. But you know, there are certain pieces of technology that I like to buy into the car. It could be brake assistance, lane diversion, all these kind of things that help the main accidents. But self-driving, I'll wait.
Yeah, we'll stick with our diesel motors for now.
The diesel motors.
We know what's there. We know we can work on.
That thing breaks down. I could figure that thing out right now. I have not. I'm thinking about getting my hands on an all-electric car, just so I don't get behind the times, because I'm afraid if I just jump from like the diesel engine that's 15 years old to the next Tesla or whatever,
you have
Leaf,
no idea what you're looking at.
I'm gonna be like, guys, I can't fix this. I hate not fixing my own stuff. So
I'm the same way.
So I need to learn electronics and computers and electricity.
Everything.
I just started learning about diesel combustion, so it's gonna be a whole other game. But I'm excited because I think that's gonna be a really interesting technology to help out so much in our urban landscapes. Is self-driving vehicles. There's a whole conversation, even a podcast you can do about that. I mean, just like what is the landscape change?
Right.
When you have roads that no longer need, let's say, street lights, you no longer need parking lots. Who's to even say you'll have a car in your driveway? Why would you?
So true.
I mean, why not? If you have enough self-driving cars, why don't you just do like a rent-a-car? When there's enough cars going around, you just kind of have it.
Right.
The idea of Uber just offering cars at any chance for you is almost cheaper than owning. So therefore, urban landscapes change. No driveways, no parking garages, no parking spaces. We can build more parklets like the coach said. So it's like the things really. I mean, then your traffic goes down, so your interstate never becomes backed up.
Right. Well, then your auto insurance you almost either go down or become non-existent.
Yeah. I mean, realistically.
Well, you'll be self-insured.
Yeah.
You'll no longer be insuring your cars for collisions. You'll be insuring yourself for getting in an accident through an autonomous collision or something.
Honestly, probably just like hurting yourself getting out.
Right, falling out of the car.
That's the only. I mean, we're talking about systems that are just so well designed. I mean, the human body can only do so much to actually, act in a car. I mean, we have distraction. We have fatigue. We have lights. We have sounds. I mean, we have our phones. Unfortunately, we have music. We have a windshield. We have blinders.
Yeah.
As a car, so we can only do so much as a human being.
And we're not looking 360 all the time either.
360 calculating more ways than you can even fathom, and even we're talking about try to fathom how many universes and stars are in the globe, and you're like, oh, I can't because I know there's infinite amount. That's how much data is being collected on these cars on every foot that they're driving. So it's like they're seeing things that are 100 feet away that you couldn't even think about collecting of information. So I'm really excited.
It's exciting and scary at the same time because there's so many different industries affected by it.
Yeah.
That it's almost as if the industries themselves are putting a damper on it because they're too comfortable. Right. They've been around for so long that they're like, we can't change because we don't know what it's going to look like for us.
Well, I mean, I'm telling you, I geek out on a lot of these things, and I've been watching a few, we'll call it YouTube channels on the discussion. The car manufacturer companies are way ahead of what we think, meaning that 15 years ago when the first idea of autonomous cars came out, they were all putting on a whole nother R&D department to build these things. Because
they have to.
Here's the question. My buddy asked me the other day, he goes, do you think Sony, he goes, I think Sony's going to go into the car making business. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, it's not hard to make a car anymore. I said, true. You can make a motor. I mean, they can all be electric, and they're not going to break down, no oils, less maintenance. You can build a shell, whatever. He goes, well, and he goes, here's the most important part. He says, once cars start driving themselves, we no longer look at them as a carriage. We look at them as a comfort, which means that you and I will be doing exactly what we're doing to our guests right here, and we'll be in this space. And this will be an extension of home. This will be an entertainment space.
Right.
And who better than like Sony or some other kind of companies out there to start kind of getting into this cabin design space, because the vehicle will just be third-party manufactured, but the interior will be who wins that race to You say, oh, no longer you're looking at the car. You're like, yeah, it's an engine. I get it. It's gonna work. What's the inside like?
Right. What's the level of comfort? What's the level of
entertainment,
sophistication, entertainment? And that's Sony. Like that's so true with Sony.
I wonder, yeah.
Sony's a great entertainer.
I mean, even Nintendo could even,
Nintendo's coming back with that.
PlayStation could even get involved. We have so many different things.
Microsoft, Apple,
absolutely. Apple's already built their own self-driving car. It's just like everybody's going to get into this game. It's going to saturate it, but again, it's going to create, competition, which I love because that gives us the best product at a fair price.
Right. As a consumer, it's great capitalism. Absolutely.
And I think it drives everything. It's amazing what it does, and so. Those kind of questions you go all day for, but I just love the idea that one day, I could just say, hey, let's go to another city 5 hours away and just sit back and wake up in that city.
Right, especially like with the Airbnbs progressing on, you no longer have to worry about a hotel filling up. You can go find somebody's house to stay at.
Yeah.
Or you can find an Airbnb hub
of
different space that's so unique, and it's all about the experience of the end consumer.
Absolutely.
Is where everything is shifting to. Because by humans, we've got everything we need.
All
of our needs are met and exceeded. It's all about,
it's lined up now.
What can we go and do that we haven't done yet?
Right.
Or what can we go and do that we can't do just us?
Right.
And it's like, okay, so now it's all about experience. With Airbnb's principles was the experience.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to show the experience of going to the house and then living in that city for a day or a weekend.
Yeah, that neighborhood that you couldn't afford.
That's right.
Or that little quaint that place that would not allow zoning for a hotel.
That's right.
No garden district is going to allow a hotel to pop up, but there are plenty of Airbnbs for you to feel that quaint, feel that beauty of that.
Absolutely.
And that's take that van. The moment that van starts self-driving, I'm going to buy one of those.
If not make it, convert it into one.
Man, that thing's gonna be a diesel for life. That thing's gonna be an antique. I'm telling you, I'm gonna pass that down on to the kids. They'll be like, I don't want to touch that diesel. It'll probably be biodiesel by then, by regulation.
Right. Yeah.
I'll convert it over to biodiesel, but now that's gonna be my fun ride. But eventually, cars will become extensions of our home. So therefore, we will. It's like then the question goes into it. All right. Well, if you have an extension of home, how comfortable does your home need to be? Because how long are you in your home is the question I have.
So true.
So there's so many fun thoughts about as technology shifts, so will these things that we think that will never shift. I need this big home. Well, do you? Because you're only here for a little time, and then if you don't have a smaller home, then you can take this beautiful traveling home and go anywhere.
Then you can experience the world.
Yeah, it's
because you're always dying to where can I get my next vacation? When can I get away from the house? You're always you buy the house and you're always trying to leave the house.
Yeah, and it's exhausting to drive. The reason I bought that thing, I travel 30,000 to 40,000 miles a year sometimes, just all across the country because I'm obsessed with just experiences and observing these different landscapes in urban cities. And also, my friends are scattered everywhere, so I love to kind of just hang out and catch up with them in their location. But what happens when you take away a 6-hour drag, of an hour of a drive? All of a sudden, hey, it's Friday, we can leave, and then come back Sunday well rested. All of a sudden, does the quality of work in the workplace pick up because self-driving cars are there? So it's and then there's this fun calculation of, let's say, the average person spends an hour in traffic a day, which is, that's mid-sized city probably issues. 30 minutes here and there.
Yeah, my 3.5 minutes not gonna.
I'm
hurting the commute time.
No. You're helping your life out. You're smiling because you have good commute time. That's important. I keep in mind all down to 10. I won't live anywhere past that just because I won't. But if you have an hour commute time, what happens when the entire population gets that back every day?
Right.
So you're talking about hundreds of millions of hours a day.
Looking over the whole spectrum of people.
Of a year. We're talking about billions and billions and billions of hours that could be now either relaxing, be productive, learning, coding, investing, entertaining, distressing, whatever.
Spending time with your
family. And even that time even goes down through traffic because you're self-driving cars, so you don't have these interstate jams anymore.
Right.
So now all of a sudden, not only are they productive hours, but they're also social hours too. So our community as a whole, or this, the race or whatever, starts becoming a little bit less stressed and more productive again. So there's going to be this huge spike of I don't know what. I don't know.
I don't know where to go from here.
I can only go my brain's I see some things, but I'm going to leave it there because I can't speculate.
That's it. Okay, so the real reason we came here was the Heart Trail in Baton Rouge. What you're doing here, how keeping the drone theme, I guess, the technology theme, are you incorporating that into what you're doing here?
So I started a little company called Urban Canvas Studio, which is essentially just a design firm, but I'm using art installations to revitalize urban spaces.
Okay.
That's like the line. Meaning that I'm still very much an urban designer. I just want to use the medium of art as a way to revitalize it versus, creating trails or park spaces or new buildings or restaurants as an architect or a landscape architect. I just want to use art because it's amazing how quick it can go up,
Right.
how impactful it can be, and how affordable it can be.
Yeah.
All three of those, and a little overhead for me. I'm like, I love this. I can be in grad school, I can teach, I can do all these amazing things and still quickly, do some great stuff for the community. So the Heart Trail is kind of a part of that now. It all started about a year and a half ago. Running a business is very stressful.
Right.
Anybody out there that's listening that's done it, you understand it's just time consuming, it's stressful, your mind's always working. It can lead to just poor health. So I was just suffering a little bit from like heart complications, just over stress basically is what came to that, what I learned from my cardiologist and everything. And he's like, you just gotta find a way to unwind. So in my research, I read so many books, studies, etc. I learned that walking can just be absolutely powerful. Like just walking, because like I used to run, I used to work out, I used to play basketball, I used to try all these things, and I was still stressed. Like it just wasn't working. So I lived downtown at the time, and I was like, all right, well, going with this heart thing, I'm living downtown, can I just make a walking trail, or can I walk with my GPS turned on and create a heart shape just for fun?
Right.
So I just literally went downtown by the riverhead, by the rotary sculpture right now, and then started my trail and just meandered through parking lots and looked at my GPS and kept drawing this little heart. And it turned out to be a 3.5 mile trail.
Wow.
And I was like, cool, this is really awesome. And then it was really neat was that I started from the Mississippi River, which is my thesis is on. So I'm obsessed with
the river itself.
The whole river. That's a whole nother. Ask me about that if we run out of something to talk about.
So I'll bring my wife out here for the next episode.
Yeah,
Y'all can talk about the river.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started there, and then you go through the downtown CBD area. You kind of poke out near the Capitol grounds, and then you kind of go through Spanish Town.
Yeah.
It kind of comes back through 6 near the Cocha area, and then kind of pokes out again through Beauregard Town, and it kind of comes back again through 3rd Street and Town Square Park, and then back to the river. So it goes through 4 different neighborhoods almost. So this walking trail it's not boring. You have many stops and turns. You're seeing landmarks, green spaces. You probably pass like 10 parks. I think I counted 100-something businesses.
Oh wow!
Flowers, neighbors, cats, dogs. I mean, like and then you're talking about natural, expansive elements like the river, trees, big alleys of like park space. So what I realized is that one, you walk for an hour straight, which is that perfect heart kind of stress, if you want to call it, for the exercise. And not to mention, though, I've also did a lot of research in the mental well-being of walking in public spaces, like connections to nature versus issues that you can have from just being inside isolated. So this trail not only helps you with your physical cardiovascular health, but also your mental health as well.
Right.
So I had this idea, and I went to a few friends that are kind of that love to hear that in the Arts Council. They love to hear my crazy ideas. They can't wait to hear the next one to help me out. I'm always just like, guys, I got something crazy. They're like, we love it. So
what do you need?
Yeah, I mean, Baton Rouge is such an exciting place for it. We just have so much opportunity to bring in.
Absolutely.
And people are wanting these things to happen, so it's a perfect time. So I brought this idea to them. I was like, can we figure out a way to get this done? She's like, yeah, we'll figure something out. So over the last year, they've been pushing me to presenting in front of the arts summits, different people, different stakeholders, etc. Long and behold, the Arts Council was awarded a grant from the Baton Rouge Area Foundation and Baton Rouge Cross and Shield Foundation as well, and a few other players to collect enough money to hire my company out to actually install and design this. So they raised the funds, which is amazing, through certain sponsors, which we love. And
they're the sponsors.
Thank you, guys. And so we without them, I mean, I went to the Downtown Development District. I was like, guys, I can paint this on the street tomorrow. I'll go put a hard, spray paint. They're like, no, don't do that.
No, we're gonna do it.
I was like,
we're gonna do it much more.
We'll find a way. I was like, but this is a very easy and cheap way. It could be done tomorrow. And they're like, no. And the DDD, if you don't know much about them, Downtown Development District are incredible people. They're also most of them have a background in landscape architecture, so they're my people. I mean, they're like, Taylor, we get what you're saying, but can we do this right? I'm like, give me some time. We'll come up with some design solutions.
Right.
So working with them over a year, and and understanding our limitations of funds and everything and materials. We went to Vividing Graphics, got some amazing stuff kind of programmed out for them. Essentially, what we're going to be doing is using ground decals to mark the trail. To kind of like every 50 feet or every 40 feet, you'll see a marker that allows you to follow the next step, almost like a breadcrumb. And we're going to use other things later on, but this is the first layer of the trail density, as I'm calling it. Eventually, I want to put murals up for long distance places to help guide you, little signs and some other things. But they're like, look, just start small.
Start small and grow from there.
And I learned that through this process is that sometimes you have this wide-eyed project, and you're like, I'm ready to just draw a physical line down the street, and it's like, that's not your street, Taylor.
Yeah,
it's like,
you don't own the street.
You don't own the street, and there's other people involved, so you gotta, So I was, anyways, so a lot of people don't know, but about Louisiana is that number one killer here is cardiovascular disease.
But we just have such great food.
We have great food, the wealth is everywhere. So it's, there's a lot of, as a planner in kind of a planning background, there's a lot of factors to it, and we don't have to go too deep into it, but essentially there is an issue. That's insane to think that 13,000 people die a year from a disease that is very, very preventable. Right. We're talking about preventative medicine versus curable medicine, or curing it. So the hospitals here and the sponsors believe in preventative medicine, so they were saying, like, hey, we're going to take this chance on this. So long story short, though, we get the heart trail is the exciting part about the actual heart pieces is that majority of them are actually created by local artists. Okay. So this is an actual art installation. Right. By design, this is a walking trail, but curated by art installations. So we've got local artists and graphic designers that have contributed to the actual pieces. We even had the Arts Council go to Dufrock Elementary School and get some 600 kids to draw what their heart is. What they see in heart. So we took those little pieces and we built collages into the space. So not only is there like professional, amateur, and even like just children art along this entire trail. So this entire thing is one big art piece, as you will, and we're gonna have some. Technically, it's like a couple hundred different unique art pieces installed in the first installation. And once we start doing murals and temporary stuff, we're talking about hundreds, if not 1,000 pieces of art that will be installed during the time of this trail. And next week, so. Next week. Next week,
it's like the big unveiling.
The big unveiling. So this has been a very long and complicated process, but I've been so impressed with. I thought this would be harder than it would be, but I'm very impressed to see Baton Rouge coming together and all the different entities. Because we had to get the mayor to sign off, we had to get the state to sign off, we had to get downtown development to sign off, Spanish Town Civic Association to sign off, Beauregard Town. Like everybody had to. It wasn't just me like saying, "Hey, I can do this." Right. Everybody had to approve.
Those 4 neighborhoods you crossed into initially, you're like, oh, this would be great, just going right through, and you're like, wait, I have to get all of them.
And that makes so much sense, when you walk the neighborhood, it is still city-owned land when you're talking about a sidewalk, but there is still a cultural thing and a community thing that you have to appreciate and respect, and that's number one thing. So you always have to respect their community because this is their neighborhood. You don't want someone just designing something running through. So once everybody got approved and everything. I thought it was going to take a little longer, but we're trying to get it installed early February, but we're ready to go. I just got the email when you sent me another little reminder tonight from Vividing Graphics saying that the order has been printed and ready for pickup. Very nice. This will be about 95% of the materials that will be laid on the ground. So starting tomorrow and tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'll be installing the trail, which took 18 months from just starting an idea to actual installation will be 18 months around the time. So, and then we have our big walk. Y'all are all welcome. It's absolutely free. We have one on the 14th February, so Valentines Day.
Valentine's Day, hard work.
Yeah, there you go. It's downtown at 12 o'clock. So basically it's kind of one of these things where we're trying to get everybody that's already there to come just do a quick walk around the city. It's going to be absolutely beautiful weather.
So we're at downtown. So if I'm going to park my car, where should I park and where should I go?
Absolutely. So if you guys are not familiar with downtown area, there's a beautiful new sculpture. You've been by the singing sculpture over there by the Rotary Club. Absolutely beautiful. But it's by Mississippi River Park right near the Hilton.
Okay.
So it's you can't miss it. We'll have hearts decorating all over the place. I mean, I'm going to absolutely brand this thing. So
I mean, you've got the shoes on.
yeah, I got the shoes. I have the simple heart. Everybody always thinks that I'm just wearing these weird hearts across. They don't understand the project yet, but I'm always trying to remind myself of little tokens to take care of yourself and hopefully spread a little bit of joy and that whole like wearing your own kind of art thing. But
yeah, I love that.
that'll be on the 14th at noon, so that way you can still have your Valentines Date with your little cutie. And then on the 15th again, 10 a.m. This is going to be more for everybody to kind of get a chance to come in. We'll have a lot of the students come with their families that contributed to the art. We're going to have a lot of the sponsors out there, a lot of the people from around the downtown. My friends have all been so generous to see the process over the 18 months that they've almost. I kind of all told them, I was like, you have to be there.
Yeah, you have to be there because you might be. Even if you're the only ones there, you got to be there.
You have to be there. It's always funny. It's I'm sure you're a very social guy. I'm sure you've entertained a party one day in your life, and you understand that there is some stress or just even worry about who's going to show up. And that's exactly what's happening at this moment. We've built this incredible thing for you guys. We just want you all to show up. So bring your dog, wear red, anything to help out. You don't have to, but
no, it's required.
It's required.
It's required.
Hey, if you bring your shirt, I'll paint a heart on you on the spot.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, we'll do art right there instantly. So there's no shyness of that. I can't promise you we'll get you some of these sexy shoes right here, but maybe if you order a pair.
Where can we order a pair?
Yeah, just send me a little message on Urban Canvas Studio.
Okay, Urban Canvas Studio. Say you want the shoes.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll understand what that means.
Right.
But yeah, so it's gonna be it's a 3-mile walk. Takes about an hour. It's a walk, so you can literally wear anything you want. Just bring some comfortable shoes or any shoes at all. It's gonna be gentle. You will not sweat. I mean, if you're sweating, you probably should be doing the walk more. I mean, it's just sometimes that happens, but it's such a very easy thing to do, but it's so important for people to get up and walk. I cannot tell you how much research I've done on like how sitting for a long period of time, how bad it is for us.
Oh, and we're doing that more and more every day. I know I sit for like during tax season like 11 hours a day.
And that's what I'm saying. Like it's a part of our life, and it happens.
It does.
And it's not to say that it's anything against the person. It's just it happens. I mean, we live a very comfortable life, as you pointed out. Like we have everything we need.
Right.
So sometimes, like, why would I need to stand up?
Because you need to get outside. You need to exercise.
You have to. And we always have to remember that we may be living in 2020, but the human body has been around for almost a million years, whatever you want to call it. So like, what has that body been doing for that long? It's been active. It's been waking up in the sunrise. And
we didn't always have cars.
We had to go out and hunt and gather. We had to do things of activity. I mean, we were walking 10 miles, 20 miles a day probably, and then barely eating. So it's like we can't just be sitting still and eating over what our body allows, whatever. So it's just so important to get at least 1 hour, or they say 1.5 miles, 2 miles of actual walk. It could be 10,000 steps. A lot of people have the kind of Fitbit things or kind of the step counters that really help out. I mean, I get mine every day, and I try to hit my daily goal. And I'm even walking the trail for work, and I'm just hitting it. So it's like it's not easy to do, but hopefully this will be kind of a quick reminder to people, a marketing ploy, or even an opportunity to say, hey, we're on the trail at work. Let's just take a step outside and do at least half of it, or if not the whole thing.
When you're also saying, hey, we have a community out here. It's okay to come out. It's okay to experience Baton Rouge in a way that we haven't done before.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure before you created this little heart trail, I don't know how many people walked that exact path that you walked and that you created, if anybody.
I would love to meet that person. If they walk that exact path, I mean, I've got to meet them. Because it is and I can't tell you enough how beautiful these things are. I mean, I didn't know what Spanish Town was. I was even a little of the impression that it was dangerous when I first moved downtown. I was naive. I mean, I lived all in 7 different neighborhoods across Baton Rouge in my undergrad years, and throughout even coming back and visiting, but I never really entertained the idea of downtown. So my first walk, I was nervous. I didn't know what to expect. And as soon as I stepped into that neighborhood, I was just blown away. Absolutely gorgeous. It's the nicest people you've ever met. Cutest gardens everywhere. I mean, it felt like just this quaint, beautiful, historic neighborhood right downtown. I was like, this is gorgeous. I was like, this. And then I take my friends on their walk with me. More like I pull them to come with me because then I always want to be active. But and I walk and they're like, I had no idea downtown was so beautiful. I had no idea there was so much to offer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just sometimes it's a perspective thing. Like you build up
100%.
what your head thinks it's going to be, and then you get there, and then it's just you're in complete shock because you're like, I didn't know this was here, and it's just it multiplies over and over. I mean, we passed 103 businesses along the Heart Trail.
Yeah.
I mean, if I asked someone to name 5, they probably had a hard time doing it. But
Right.
there's just so many things going on. The park space, or just even these cute neighborhoods. And I always tell Matt, I'm like, Matt, man, there's I see some of your signs along the Heart Trail. If I push people by that trail, do I get a kickback?
So here we have a property listed by Elephant.
Yeah, you can't miss their signs. It's beautiful. But there's an exciting thing. I wanted to do an economic study on it because I mean, if I get 10,000 people to do the trail a year, how much does that offer to the state in terms of tax revenue? Because you have gas, you have they buy a beer when they're there, or that one person that says, "Oh, this is a beautiful home. I'll buy this home for sale."
Yeah.
All of a sudden there's a $20,000 deal for the city, and so I try to tell these people, I'm like, look, this thing's gonna sell itself because if we get people in this area and we get more and more people to come, like the Louisiana Marathon, all these cool things that are happening, like people are gonna be like, wow, this is a beautiful place.
Yeah.
It does have things for us. So we have to showcase that, and this is a way to kind of fall in love with your city.
Right.
So,
and that's like the whole purpose behind why I wanted to do this podcast, because I knew there was so much cool stuff out there that I didn't know about. I'm like, well, I'm going to be selfish and bring people on to learn about it, and then put it out there so other people can hear about it.
It's a brilliant strategy, and I hope this continues for you. I think it's an incredible opportunity because sometimes just having a little platform, give people a chance to actually speak into a microphone and say, look, this city does have things that are exciting.
Right.
I mean, there are people out there that are making a change, and I always try to remind people that a city is a culmination of of communities, and then the communities are a culmination of people coming together. So it takes literally just these micro situations, if you will, for people to keep continuing to add certain things to it to make this one cohesive, beautiful space in the city. So there are people out there that are just kind of constantly just adding to the value of the city, and it's going to eventually hit a tipping point where people are going to be like, yeah, this is a cool city.
Yeah, this is a pretty cool space we built here.
Yeah, it is, and it's going to start recruiting people, and it's going to start retaining people.
Right.
I mean, that's the number one thing we have the worst in Baton Rouge. Is retention of people leaving, from campus, going to Texas, going to New Orleans.
I literally had this conversation on the last episode. Was that fact of when I was at LSU, that was the hottest topic. Yeah. Where am I going to go after graduation?
Dude,
I'm like, what do you mean where are you going to go? You're right here.
Yeah.
You're here. Where do you got to go anywhere?
I mean,
I'm like, oh, the opportunity's out there, but opportunity's here.
Opportunities here, yeah.
But we don't know about it. Okay, well, let's go find out about it.
Exactly.
Let's get out there. Let's get in the community. Let's start asking people. Instead of sitting and playing on your phone in the street corner with 3 people around you, why don't you say, hey, my name's so-and-so. What do you do?
Yeah.
And
it all comes down to a lot of times people just don't want to search for things.
Yeah.
Because we live in a world where things come to us.
Right.
I could literally order us pizza right now.
Yeah.
It would come to this door.
I could tell my Alexa inside to order us pizza, and it would pop up.
I'm not that fancy.
we're bringing this to people.
Right.
They don't have to go out there and get it. For this podcast, whether it be on Facebook Live or people listening to the actual show on whatever platform it is, they wouldn't have to go and seek you out and find you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do that with the show, is going out and finding these people and meeting people along the way. Like, oh, you're pretty cool. I mean, I saw you came up with somebody else that I knew. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's he doing? Clicked on it. I'm like, okay, this dude needs to come on the show. Okay. So it's like a no-brainer. He needs to come on because he's doing cool stuff.
I'm trying, yeah.
And it's finding those people in the community and saying, hey guys, I'll bring them to you. But then you gotta get out there and experience what they're actually doing.
You have to get out.
You have to get out there.
I mean, so I just left in a very incredible seminar kind of class, if you will. It talks about one of the readers and authors that we were studying was talking literally about that. It's like, just get away from the digital world. Yes. Get yourself out there, and just actually experience it. Don't get in the car. Like, you get yourself to a car to a point, but then get out of the car.
Right.
Because even in that car, you're disconnected from the world.
Yep.
Like, only way to really experience the landscape, or I call it landscape, it could be Government Street, it could be 3rd Street. I call that, we'll call that as, I just want to let anybody hearing that word, that's what I mean. An urban scape, if you will. In order to really take in everything, I'm talking about what the street's like, what the vegetation's like, what the architecture's like, even what the canopy of the trees and the birds are like. You have to be outside. You have to be on a bike or walking.
Yep.
That's the only way I really like to dive into cities. I take the van to a city, I get into my space, and I'll take my bike, and I'll just bike 10 miles around it and just try to take it all in. So that's what I always tell people, is like, go out. Like, I complain a lot myself sometimes. I'm like, well, there's not really there.
There's something to do here.
I'm like, and I complain, and I'm like, I'm done complaining. I'm gonna go find something. because I know it may not be as easy to find, but I know there's something out there.
Yeah.
And I start calling people. I start putting it on my social media. I'm like, hey, what's everybody doing? And people answer, because all the times I'm seeing friends. I'm like, man, that's amazing. What was that? You know,
Right.
I'm seeing these amazing things start to pop up. So sometimes you just have to absolutely go out there, and sometimes make sure you put yourself around people that are looking to enjoy life.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you can find yourself surrounded by friends that are just like, oh, this place is terrible. I want to go to Houston or somewhere else.
Seattle
Or Seattle or New York
St.
or
Louis.
Chicago. You know, all
Chicago,
these are great
yeah.
cities, but I promise you, you know, we take cities like Austin, Texas, or Nashville, or even Chattanooga. These cities were all bad 20-something years ago.
Yeah, they were all right where
30
or
years
less
ago
where
now.
we were.
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of people have no idea that these cities were not what they are now. Like they were undesirable. They were dangerous. They were literally just spaces where people did not want to be.
Yeah, they were everything you think of negative about Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Back then, and look where they came to.
And
Because somebody or a collective of people were like, you know what, it's enough.
Yeah.
We're tired of it being this way, so let's make a change. Even if we're one person, two person, three person, if we make small changes together, like you said, we'll reach that tipping point.
Right.
And then that's when everybody will, well, now we'll come to the party. And it's like, well, let's get on the ground. While you say there's no opportunity, there's so much opportunity because there's so few that want to do something.
Exactly. And like anything in the world, you have your early adopters, your mass majorities. I can't remember that exact curve and who came up with it, but you know, things that you're doing, things that other people are designing, you know, doing, even kind of maybe considering my company, like I'm seeing opportunities to kind of create that mass early adoption into this things that other cities have that people go, ooh, this is why I love this city.
Right.
It's like I'm trying to, as a designer, I've already went out to 280 some cities in the United States. I've seen majority of this country. I'm taking back some of these ideas that people fell in love with and saying, well, we have the space for it. We literally have the landscape for it. Let's just take this and just revisit it and then just kind of change it to a way that some people can be like, oh, this is beautiful. Like it's not hard. It's just, but it takes people to stay and see opportunity. And then the hardest part is it takes us to go out there and continuously fight the fight for a better situation. But I think we're finally in a time, because I've been in Baton Rouge for 8 years now collectively in my life, in Louisiana a little bit longer, and I've seen the struggles that everybody talked about, just everybody kind of being complacent and not wanting to change. But I really think that we're in a time of change. Like we're on the precipice of this turning point, if you will. Like there've been these amazing organizations that have spent the last 3 decades just pushing the needle just ever so slightly, and it's just time for that. It's just going to be kind of a dripping for investment. It's just going to absolutely just have a mass rush towards some great things. I mean, I can go over in all these different projects what they're going to be, but Baton Rouge will be something very special in 10 years. Like I can see it. Like I saw the drone stuff. I'm not saying I could see the future.
Well, hang on now. You might not be leaving. No, the future.
Yeah, don't ask me about stocks. But I obsess over certain things, and when you obsess over things, you dive into information and you connect dots in ways that others just don't care to do.
Right.
I mean, I can't at all go down the financial world about connecting certain dots that you could literally spend probably podcasts on.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about urban planning, master planning, and just like infrastructural change, and even seeing social aspects and cultural shifts, I can talk about that. Yeah. That's what I want to study. That's what I mean. It's what I do for my living. It's what I'm obsessed with. So my brain just naturally sees these things. And I think Baton Rouge is literally on this change that's going to be just absolutely special, and it's going to be a lot of people that are seeing it too, that are riding it, that are bringing this energy, that are going to make it happen. It's just going to take some time, but like anything, that's just not what some people are waiting for.
Yeah.
I mean, they graduate, they're ready to go to the big city and get that job. Now I get that, but there also are what I like to call Louisiana locals, people that are never going to leave.
And they love what's going to happen.
They love their state, man. We love our state here, and people just want to stay at home, which I love. But it's time to make home a little bit better.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. And so I think Baton Rouge is going to have that happen. And so I'm sure Matt's, may listen or may not, but I know he's investing in the right places.
Yeah,
I mean, because it comes down to
places,
it. Yeah. And, like, I always love the idea of looking at someone's like, yeah, this person owns. I go to a city one day, and I get a chance to meet some great people, and they're like, yeah, this person owns all this kind of this. I'm like, how do you own that? He's like, it wasn't this cool 20 years ago.
That's
right.
Right.
They saw the opportunity. They're like, look, I took a chance, and I bought into it, and I developed it, and I waited, and now he's got himself 5 retirement packages, because of all that stuff. So it's like there's opportunity here in Baton Rouge the same way. There's Plank Road corridor. I mean, they're about to have an incredible master plan with Build Baton Rouge. There's going to be some incredible investment into one of our disinvested sectors of the city. So we're now about to take our kind of like, for lack of better terms, our weaker segment of an area, and we're going to strengthen it. And all of a sudden, that's going to strengthen our city of Baton Rouge as a whole. And people don't see that. Sometimes we see just this. We see that's not my zip code, it's not my problem, kind of thing. But these disconnected areas are all starting to become connected in their own way as we start to happen in the landscape. So we're going to get some stronger cities all across, not just the areas that we may think is our bubble. So this whole city is. I'm seeing over and over, and it's a little slower than I would like because I'm just so used to some Texas time.
We operate a little slower here.
I think it's because I think it's a fun idea that I had some. I haven't given it a name yet, but it's just like this time of the year that we just celebrate life more than others, and it starts with like a little bit into like Thanksgiving, and it carries over into the Christmas holidays, the New Year's holidays. I'm pretty sure carnival seasons, like. And then that's also like football, end of football season, so playoffs for both college and professional. Then you have your carnival season starting, and then it's kind of like crawfish season, and then you have your baseball.
I got the socks on.
Yeah, you got the socks on.
Crawfish socks on now. Had Lainey King with the crawfish app on a couple episodes ago, so she's really vamping it up in crawfish time.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, and so like we just hit this time where we celebrate life like no other. I've never been in a place in the country where I've seen a community or a citizen celebrate life and be as happy as they are down here.
Yeah.
Like that is the most beautiful thing to find, but it's also from a plan, like a designer standpoint of the urban space, it's also the most frustrating because when you're happy, you don't really necessarily seek change.
Right.
So it's like, when you're happy, you don't,
it's like, why seek change?
Why seek change? I mean, it's just human condition. Like it's literally what you strive for. So if you get to that thing that most people can't, then you don't want to change, but that also then allows things to kind of fall through the cracks. So hence why we have some troubled areas in certain categories compared to other states. So I haven't figured out this time frame what I could call it yet, but
year round.
It almost
we call it winter.
Yeah. I mean, so I was up in Minneapolis this summer doing some research for the thesis, and up there it was this weather exactly 75 degrees during their June and July.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and everybody's outside running around, playing in parks until, it almost looked like they couldn't get enough of it.
Right.
And they're just so happy. And so like for us though, it's kind of reversed. Like during the summertime, it's so hot that we're indoors. Like you will be inside a air-conditioned house, an air-conditioned car, air-conditioned office, and then in that air-conditioned bar and restaurant.
Right.
The only time you're going outside is to get between those two spaces,
even then you're going to run real fast.
Even then, and then you come like complain, but during the wintertime, we're much more active, so it's kind of reversed. But summertime is like almost our downtime.
Yeah,
like we almost hibernate.
We recoup for the start of football season.
But you think it's like I wondered. I was like, look, Minneapolis, they probably celebrate life and then enjoy, drink, all that fun stuff, and then during the wintertime, they're probably more isolated.
Right.
So that's their physical recharging moment because they have short days. No one wants to do anything. They go to sleep, wake up. For months they probably just physically hibernate.
Yeah.
But we have a summer here, which means that we still have swimming pools, we still have lakes, we still have, grills, we still have times that we're not being hindered so much by this physical environment. So it's like, although we do get some of a break, it's not really a break. It's just like it's a lower version of that celebration. So it's just like a dip.
We have that dip in a picture right there.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. And so I've kind of just been monitoring over the last few years, just like how we spend it. Well, St. Patty's Day is coming up too. So
yeah, I think it's St. Patty's Day.
So St. Patty's Day.
Mardi Gras.
So it's like Mardi Gras, St. Patty's Day. I mean, we cannot stop celebrating life down here. And
that's it, man.
I don't hate it. I really don't. It's just sometimes I'm just like, y'all want to go hang out in like a park and just chill?
Just like nope.
It's like no. It's like we don't. I'm gonna play some sports. No, we got a nice little celebration and a parade to go catch. I'm like, I get it.
Yeah, I understand.
I understand.
So okay, starting to wrap up the show. What is something that you've seen? Well, obviously you've seen a lot in Baton Rouge, and you're making a lot of changes. But what is something that I or the viewers can do to help you achieve your goal of what you're trying to do here?
I mean, the only thing that you guys can do with your your platform, if you will call it that, or even the viewers listening. I mean, for me, and what I do is I just need support for more art in the community, and it doesn't have to necessarily be art in the sense of like a mural. I mean, it could be a lot of things, or even just change of the urban space. We need the citizens of Baton Rouge to start demanding a better landscape.
Right.
And I don't think, I know it's hard for everybody out there. I use the word landscape. Don't think flower beds. I mean, just think urban space. But we need, and we ought to be asking why the city has not invested like other cities have outside of the state.
Right.
I mean, if a lot of people in this podcast may be local, listening, I don't know how much traveling they have done, but if you go out to other places, you're just going to see, and then you go out to these like other cities across the country and come back, it almost feels like we're kind of just, we're stuck in time.
Yeah.
Like it feels like we just didn't evolve with everybody. And that happens. I mean, every city is going to be different. We have budget issues, we have our priorities, we have our things we need to work on. But we just need that conversation to start, saying, why don't we have this? Or why are we last in all these categories? And once the conversation starts happening, well, then answers are going to start being answered. Their questions are going to be starting answered. And so therefore, people can't hide these issues anymore. And all of a sudden, we're going to start demanding, things to be fixed. And once that happens, we're going to have a better quality of life. It's going to retain more people. People are going to be happier, more proud of their space. They're going to start contributing. It's a snowball effect.
Yeah.
So just demanding, or just encouraging the conversation, saying we want more of this, is so powerful. It doesn't have to necessarily be, hey, we want this company to do this more. Would be great. Urban Canvas Studio, love it. Please share everything. But no, there are a lot of great organizations out there. The Walls Projects, Baton Rouge Green, Arts Council, DDD. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on about these organizations that are doing their efforts.
Right.
But what we need is the citizens to say, stop saying, oh, this city, it sucks, for lack of better words. We need them to say, where are the opportunities, and then point them out. Because once you point them out, then I, as a designer, don't have to go out there and discover them and create the project. Because all my projects I've ever built so far, my company, have been created by my vision, which means I found the opportunity and then said, hey, you can do this, and then someone goes, wow, how do we get this done?
Yeah.
But if we can have everybody else saying, hey, I have this space, and then you drag me in and say, what can we do? I'm like, well, we can do so much.
Right.
But I need that space identified. So maybe that's it, the take home. Identifying spaces that need to be revitalized or changed. That way people can start having a kind of a pride of place instead of just passing this dingy, blight area, if you want to call it that, whatever it may be. So just identifying those would just be so powerful, because then I don't have to go out and canvas the area. I can have people tell me what they need and then start designing for them and sending out those free proposals.
Right.
Just say, hey, this could be something beautiful. Like, go find money. Like I do that for people. I've literally had some certain schools that just say, hey, we don't have any money, but we'd like to raise money. I'm like, all right, well, show me the space. Let's talk. I can spend 2 hours designing and giving you a presentation that you could then raise $10,000 to do. Right. So sometimes it just literally takes a little bit of back and forth for free to get the conversation to take their vision and turn it into reality and show people what this could be. I mean, sometimes it just takes a simple rendering. Yeah. Or a simple proposal by my company to say this is what this beautiful space could be. Yeah. So just ask. I mean, just say, what can the space be? I guess, or like, hey, it's a demand to say, I want this to be something better.
Okay, so for everybody listening and watching, hit up Urban Canvas Studio, and just flood his inbox with ideas. Flood it with things you want done. Flood it with things that you say, hey, I've got this space. If you got a space, come in and have him work his magic.
Yeah, I got plenty of ideas, guys. Like, I have so many. I have enough proposals backed up right now that once I'm graduated, I'm gonna send them out to the city and be like, how do we find money to get this done? Yeah. Don't worry, like, once I'm done graduating, you're gonna see like a whole influx of projects coming your way. It's just, all right, now I've got to give some hours to obviously graduating and get this thesis done.
Yeah.
The commitments.
Gosh, school, right?
I don't know, right?
Okay, so thank you so very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And I can't be there on the 14th, but maybe I'll encourage my wife and some family members to go out.
Please, yeah. And if anybody, you can't make it, just share the idea. You never know who will be able to see this and impact their lives. I mean, this trail was designed and built for the city, for everyone. So we want to offer this to everyone. It's there. It's 24-hour access kind of thing. So anybody that shares it, you have no idea what you could be doing for the person's health or the next person that sees it. So
that's right.
That's always like the thing about it's like, social media is so easy just to press a button sometimes for sharing, and you have no idea what the impact can be on that. Yeah. So it's almost like I love doing every time I can get them share. Because you never know that one person will see it and how that's going to change the world. Like someone shared one day about drones on LinkedIn back in 2014. It changed my life.
That's right.
So it's like, you never know what that one thing will be, that one click. So I always encourage people, if it's a good cause and you believe in it, just absolutely share and talk about it, promote it. I mean, if it's for the better of the community, why not?
Like I think you put it perfectly. Even if you are only able to impact one person, you're only able to change one person's life, it was worth it.
Yeah, because you never know that one person's life, once they're for the better, what they can do.
That's it.
I mean, I always like to think it's a snowball effect.
Like, how many companies have you impacted? How many you impacted a whole Dubai?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Every time I put a pin stroke on the ground, that was a neighborhood. That was someone's neighborhood that was being developed. I mean, in the same way, like the Baton Rouge Foundation, other sponsors funded me to do an idea that then hopefully will have lasting, impact on people I may never even speak with.
That's it. They may never even know you, but they know the project is there and they know what it did for the people, all because you press share.
Yeah, press share, man. So I'm saying, if I can save one life out of this entire project, that would be enough to feel it's something real what I do, and I really think this is going to save more than one. So
absolutely.
So it's like to help with my life. If it can help with mine, it can help with anybody. So that's a feeling that I wake up and I'm definitely not getting paid enough for the project, which is way okay, because this is way more than about the money. These are these projects that you absolutely. I wear clothes that are sporting hearts every day just because I believe in it so much. So So these are kind of one of these things we want to give back to the community. So share, talk about it, come out. It doesn't have to be this weekend. I'll encourage it because we need some numbers.
We need people to show up.
Yeah, because we got funding for 2 more, by the way, in Baton Rouge.
Okay.
So the next one will be in the Plank Road corridor area, and then the third one will be in 2022. So we haven't decided yet. So the more people support this, the more people talk about it, the more evidence we can show to our sponsors to say, look, we need more. This is evidence that this is working. So this is a sponsored event or installation, but at the same time, we have to prove its worth. And that's my job, is to design, build you something beautiful, and then obviously prove its worth throughout the community. So just keep sharing, talking about it, you guys, just for the greater good, not for me.
Yeah, for the greater good and for the continuation and building up the city. So just voice your opinion, tell them what you want, and just share the page. So thank you so very much for coming on the show. Thank you to the few listeners and the few viewers. I really appreciate it. And I know the city of Baton Rouge does as well, as we are constantly showing and highlighting what we have to offer. So I'm your host, Patty G. We're here with Urban Canvas Studio, signing off. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.